this, we grew up knowing that a woman's supposed to be home taking care of kids. A woman's supposed to not be participating in certain roles. Just men we used to be looking up to on certain things. But thank God for this modern life, people still have that mindset. So as we all have started learning stuff and traveling, so we try to bring this to people or women who feel limited and sitting home and not doing anything. So we there and all of and the other women to make them know that they have the sense of that self worth. They have the ability to participate. They have the ability to their own voice. So over the years, when thanks to my chairman Leo Johnson, when he asked me to be the women coordinator, at first I was afraid, to be honest, because I have done a job in my community, but not national wide. So I told him, oh, I can't do this because it will be a lot of people to deal with. But it was the best decision, one of the best decisions I ever took, because we always know that Liberians, when you hear about Liberians somewhere, it's going to be a chaos. Like, it's not going to be any fruitful thing from it. But I tell you, this thing that we started, because we're committed and we are believer and we make people to know that what we told it, we can do it. So I will tell you right now, I have the 105 women president that have mobilized and come together, and we are moving like everybody. We respect each other. We teaching each other how to respect each other. That our voice matter, like stuff like that. So yeah, at the time we'll go in further details. Yeah. So, but it's very good.
Thank you. And I saw a video of the women group and defining who is a Liberian woman.
Yeah.
I really like
Yeah.
that. But at
Yeah.
the end there, your gribble sounded like from your kepa. It's not real gribble.
But at least you know I was growing.
At the beginning of the show, I play a video with the young people talking about COVID. I like that video too. Leo, before we go ahead, tell me a little bit about that video. And it's so powerful. But unfortunately, I didn't see it trending the way I really thought it would.
Yeah, which is a bit surprising, but it's been very powerful in Canada. The government has even used it in Canada here as well, the Canadian government. It's the only youth campaign we've seen in Canada here since COVID. But when COVID started, we often tend to just take on these issues, especially in the Liberian community, and leave out our young people and just instruct them to say, you do this, you do that, you do this, without lifting and uplifting their voices, right? So when it started, we decided that, you know what, the best people, especially at a time where a lot of young people were being reckless and thinking that because COVID can catch young people easily, so they could just go out and do whatever, we were seeing more and more young people starting to get affected because they didn't think they needed to be careful. So we realized that whose voice is better to speak to other young people than the voices of young people. And the Liberian community decided we would take the leadership role in Canada. So we put our young people together, we engaged them, we had a whole discussion session, engagement session with them, and they agreed to go ahead and do it. We partnered with the Canadian government. The Canadian government agreed. They thought it was a brilliant idea for a community to step up with these young people. And they were able to provide us the funding as well. As you could see how well put together the videos where we got our young people together. And I mean, you saw the result, brilliant young people. In fact, the girl you saw speaking in Liberian English has never been to Liberia. She was born in Canada. Never been to Liberia, but we were able to get them together. And the excitement of them being involved was so great that they were able to step up and be on top of their games. And today, the video is still on. We're still using it because COVID is still ongoing. But like you said, our community, the Liberian community, sometimes we don't empower our young people enough. If it was our own video as adults, we'll be pushing it all over the place. But maybe because it's young people. But thank you for even playing it today before the show started.
Yeah, and I know I'm not going to tell anybody, but especially the girl who spoke last, who really show how to speak the Liberian English.
Just by being engaged in the community here, I will show you that Canada is big, but the community is pretty tight. So this is the importance of having the kids around and having them participate in stuff. So she often hosts events. She serves as the MC. Most of the time when we're doing events, we'll call her to serve as MC, and then we tell them, if you're going to serve as MC for the program, then you got to speak both Liberian English and your series, because a lot of people from our community can't understand your series. So just by the fun of doing that, and they are brilliant young people. Like, they get themselves involved, especially the one that you're talking about. Those are young people here who are willing to do stuff if we just give them the chance and the opportunity.
And I know we're going to go into this thing a little more, but I really want to play that part of the video again, especially the last part, because it's amazing. I love it. So let's do it.
You have to wear your mask when you go in places. Wash your hands. You must make sure you stay 6 feet away from your friend. Because if you not do that one, the virus can start going. It can start spreading. And now when the virus to spread, when it spread too much, everybody in the community will be sick. Everybody in the country will be sick. So make sure the three important thing you have to do: wash your hands, wear your mask, and stay 6 feet away from each other.
You can get a coronavirus when you're around people now who they get a viral, when they can be sneezing, coughing, laughing, talking, when they spit from their mouth and go in the air. So you now won't go around it. Also, you can get a viral when you're touching Sonny that get a viral from the people that who infect them.
That's
the deep Liberian English, like, right? Like, you know, the Oman like eye expression when they be talking with the eye expression. Like, but the important thing here for me is that we often think things like our PJ and stuff is a shameful thing. We are often, even when we're in our own gathering, you see people trying to speak serious to each other. So this was an important lesson to say, no, our PJ has become part of who we are. So we should be proud of it, because that's what I would say almost 90% of our country, that's why we speak. Those that don't speak the dialects or the tribes, at least they can understand the pidgin. So we're letting our kids to be proud of it, to know that that is a mode of communication that we use as well.
And really, the one that I really like is not putting the ending words viral. I mean, it's so authentic. And I love it. Now, let's go back. So let's talk about the Liberian Association of Canada, LAC. I know we had what was the flag? We have the federation and that. So there's a split.
Yeah.
So how is your organization now? What is the size of it? What's the strength? All together, what's the leadership look like? Tell me a little bit about your association.
Yeah, so Mr. Jaha, in Canada, there are about 9 active Liberian associations across the country. When I mean active, some are dormant, not as active. Maybe they might come back online, but at least the ones that are active and functioning right now, there are about 9 of them. And I can probably tell you that 7 of the 9 are registered members of LAC. And even the 2 that are not, we are affiliating with them, because what we do with the Liberian Association of Canada, we don't say because you're not a member, so we're not supposed to work with you. No, even if you're not a member, we want to support you, because the goal of the organization is to strengthen local Liberian associations to be at their best. But beyond that, as an association, right, as an umbrella association, we try to not duplicate what the local associations are doing. So our job is to constantly mobilize the local associations, mobilize resources in ways that they would not be able to do, so that they can implement various initiatives in their communities. And we've been very, very successful at that. We do have a board of directors, and the board of directors has 2 persons from each of the member associations sitting on the board. Also, all former presidents are also automatic members of the board. So when you finish your term serving as president, we believe the historical information you've gathered, the insight you gather will be extremely important at the governance level with the board. We also have something we call regional vice presidents. So the presidents of the various associations are automatically regional vice president to the national association. That's another layer of governance that we work with. So once you become president for your local association, automatically you hold the regional vice president seat on the national association. So whenever your term change, whoever comes in takes that role automatically as the sitting president. We do our convention once a year. At the conventions is where we make amendments to our constitution, bring in new clauses, elect our code of officers every 2 years, but then the leadership also then submits its report. So financial report, progress report, all of those are submitted at our annual convention. They are debated, argued, scrutinized, and then accepted by the body or rejected based on what those reports are.
So Patricia, when you are the women coordinator, where are the women you coordinate? Where are they located? And what do you do when you say you coordinate them? What are some of the things that you do?
So we are like we have I think 9 cities that are involved in the umbrella organization. So they are like in different provinces. So what I did was I created a WhatsApp chat group that we all there to communicate with each other, because as we all know, human being or anybody, they like to be noticed, they like to be like appreciated. So we are all there and then celebrating each other, because our initial plan was to go to all the cities around so we can meet in person. But because of the COVID, we couldn't do that. But still, it did not stop us from working. So I created that chat so we can like be closer, and so some of the activities, we got a lot of activities we can be doing. And then for my leadership, because to be honest, I learned from Leo a lot. I do not wait and for things to come from me alone. So I made people involved. Everybody, all the women, we are involved in everything we are doing. I'm not the only one because I'm the head. I get suggestions from people. I get a lot of other stuff from people, and we will be on the page. And then, like for example, I created a birthday club, because since we can't go anywhere, we can't socialize. I created our birthday club, and we on the club, like everybody birthday come, we will celebrate the person on our birthday. Sometimes we collect some money and give to the person. So like everybody's happy, everybody has their voice on that page. You can say what. The only thing we don't do there is religion and politics, because I know those things it break down groups, so we don't go there. But everybody's voice matter. Like I make everybody, to be important in every way, because it's like when you are a person, is for example, if you are single, like you only thinking about yourself. But when you are married and with kids, then that means you have a family. So it's like we are a family. I have them, I make them like my family. So it's not about me alone. So it's about everybody being involved. So like they are really enjoying it, and people really love to be there. Before I was calling and trying to initiate people, mobilize them to come, but now people are calling me because people who have been there, they're telling their friends, because we don't have no chaos. We are not doing all the kind of stuff that they are very old stuff. We don't want to do that anymore. We just want to be a peaceful organization, or peaceful women, and we are proving ourselves that we can do even more. So we are looking forward because most of the stuff are opening now, so we are looking forward to doing more stuff. Yeah.
Good. So every organization has a goal. You have a mission. How does the what you are doing as a group of women support the overall objective for which this Liberian Association got together?
Yeah, also the organization have to go and judge. So we don't have our own, like we are not an organization. Of course, we are umbrella under them. So we go back, we support everything that come up, we support them. We support them in every way because we are part of the group. So it's not that we have our own organization thing or our own rules and stuff. So we go by everything that we have in our constitution. That's what we go by. It's just that we just do some little extra women stuff, but we support the organization in every way. So
no G's and fries.
No.
And some of those things that you do, I came across the video and I want to play it and see.
Hi. What does it mean to be a woman? A Black woman, an African woman, a Liberian woman.
To be a Liberian woman is Jiglunia, which means remember. Remember that you are strong because of your experiences, and to always be true to who you are. Dakama Jiglunia. Panife, Menigaga, Yenyengo Sui. Yawega, Kolilai.
So I'm Alice Johnson Hina, and I'm going to talk to you on failing and not giving up.
Kake Liberia Musofindi, Wole Wudi, Ka Anna Talifa, Maliata. Being a Liberian woman means telling our story, our own story with no apologies and authentically.
She brave. Oh baby.
Farafimo Senkola Emineri.
Labia musokolo mindere. Musoloja.
You are beautiful. Liberians, we have a unique culture, good food, beautiful clothing, music, marriages, languages, how we sit at the table, how we greet our elders. Let's keep our culture alive. To my fellow Liberian women out there, I want to encourage you today. Know that you are beautiful, you are strong, you are brave, you are intelligent. Stop holding back. Stand up and be a part of history making.
Wow. Tell me about that video, Patricia. How you put that together with the other women?
Yeah. So when what was it? It was the was it a Mother Day thing or anyway?
Yeah,
When
it was before the Mother's Day.
yeah, it was African culture something. So we decided to make the video. Other women brought all the suggestions. So we said, yeah, it will be a good idea. To be honest, it was so tough because a lot of people they didn't want to get on video. They just think, oh, I don't think I want to get on video. I walked to people's houses. I drove to people's houses. I said, no, you can't stay back. You have to be part of this. Why are you here? Like, why will you be in a group and then you can't partake? You are capable of doing this. So we have to do it. So I went to people's houses. I said, if you're shy, if you don't know what to do, because to be honest, most of us, the technology thing, we don't know about it. So even when you send messages, you have to call again and tell people, hey, what's going on, because sometimes they can call and say, oh, I'm not seeing anything. Then you have to explain. So I took that initiative. I went to people's houses, encouraged them just so we can do this video. And when they saw it, they were so happy. Everybody was so glad. They was really, really happy.
Wow. And I like that video, and I like your K-pop grill too.
It was doing Black History Month.
Yeah, thank you. It was doing Black History Month because
And so great. I mean, it's a beautiful video. I like the message. I like the language that is being spoken there by the women. I mean,
can I just cut you off? Some of them didn't even know how to speak that language, especially Jackie, the one that said her name is Jugunu. She called back Liberia like 1 week. She was getting lessons from her brother from Liberia just so she can do that video.
And it come out very beautiful. I mean, as far as I can remember my Pele, I think she's good.
Yeah, she did her best.
So Leo, now you've been operating for two years now. Again, you were born out of crisis, if I will put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
How has that impacted what you do, or enhanced, for better or for worse, what you've been able to accomplish? And we'll come to those things.
Yeah, there've been two sides of it, to be honest. There have been opportunities that emerge as a result of the crisis that ensued, but there have also been challenges that we've had to actually deal with. I mean, we are pretty used in the Liberian community. We are used to the fact that whenever we have disagreements and crises, we go into damage mode. Like, let me try and damage the other person that I disagree with, or let the other person try and damage the other person that I disagree with. And sometimes I don't think we realize that we're doing it to ourselves in the end collectively. Like, it's not one group of people that get affected. So when I became president, one of the first things I tried to do was to de-escalate, right? Because sometimes the tension is just so high that you're not able to communicate with anybody because everyone's upset. So one of the things we did immediately, Mr. Jha, was the name issue, right? Because we were using the name Federation of Liberian Associations in Canada, and the other group also that broke away was also using the same name. So there was this fight over the name. And I was like, ladies and gentlemen, we are all the same community. We got together and developed a name. Why should we fight over something as trivial as a name? If we don't agree and we both want to function, we will take the high road. We will change our name. And, we will avoid the confusion so it doesn't look like two groups are fighting. So I convinced my board. I was able to convince our membership as well. They agreed. So we were able to change our name, which really helped in de-escalating the tension. So nobody had to be fighting each other again at each other's throat. I reached out to the other side to see if we could have some type of understanding and amicable solution. It wasn't possible at the time. People were just far off on different sides. So we're like, you know what? The best response to criticism is performance. If we can agree, let's keep working. The results at the end of the day will help us understand whether we are going the wrong way or not. Then we can get back together and say, what do we need to do to go the right way? And those are some of the steps that I took. But I would say, I think we need to get ourselves used to conflict. It's part of leadership. When conflict come up, it's not about who wins or who loses. That's when real leadership is tested. Are we willing to sit down and say, let's find an amicable solution? And if it doesn't work, we don't need to trigger the nuclear option. By the nuclear option, I mean go and damage the other person because you could not find an amicable solution. If you believe in what you're really doing and there are a group of people who believe in it, work on it. Maybe you might convince the other people. And if you don't convince them, they might also achieve something you are not able to achieve. So I'm pleased that we were able to forge a different pathway where I would say 95% of all Liberian associations in Canada now are actually under the umbrella of the Liberian Associations of Canada. And our doors are still open to our brothers and sisters on the other side. Always, I've reminded them, whenever you think we have an opportunity to work together, please let us know. Our doors are wide open.
So in each of these cities or provinces, do you have one part of the city for LAC and another side for flag?
So that's a good point. No, it's not that way. In fact, flag at some point said their membership was not based on cities; it was based on individuals. So anybody could join. Doesn't matter. Ours is different. There's no individual membership because individual membership is already held by the local association. So we don't want to duplicate that and have individuals, but two, we don't want to undercut the leadership of local cities because there are people in some of the local cities, they say the local association is not good enough for them, but then they want to come individually and be member of the national association without being member of the, so we don't do individual membership. The membership is held by the association. So by virtue of your association being a member automatically qualifies you as a member. Second of all, when things shut down, Flag then said, in fact, they were restricted to Ontario, that their association was only for people in Ontario. And we are not restricted to Ontario. Our association covers associations across the country. So right now, I can tell you, I don't know what their membership is. I don't follow up a lot of the time. I have a lot of work on my hand. But I can tell you, as LAC, all of the cities of the 9 active associations in Canada, 7 of them are members of LAC, the Liberian Association of Canada, and entirely. There is now 1 group member of LAC and 1 group member of another group.
Okay. And this question for any one of you is, normally we have these, I'm very much familiar with Liberian organizations in North America, right? How we fight about trivial things and all that. But most of the time, because we don't have something, maybe much to do, what would you say each of these member organizations, what do they benefit from being member of LAC, for which, rain or shine, they want to be part of the association?
I would maybe give an example, but maybe Patricia can also throw a light on it as well. So for example, I mean, I became president in July of 2019, and shortly after that, 6 months later, COVID hit. So all the big plans we had lined up that we had in place, everything got derailed. But what we did as a national association, for example, individual associations were not able to go and access resources from the federal government for supporting communities, especially people who were dealing with the outcomes of COVID-19. I'll give you an example. Most of our brothers and sisters who were crossing from the US or who were in Canada as refugee claimants or undocumented, if you want to call it that way, were stuck in limbo because most of their papers were being processed when the COVID-19 hit, and all of it got suspended automatically. So they didn't have work permit, they could not work, they couldn't do much, they were basically stuck. Even shelter was a problem. So the National Association was able to mobilize its strength and engage with the federal government. We raised just around $300,000 in total, or a little over 200 and some more thousand between there, in total to support the most vulnerable of our populations. And no independent association could have been able to actually do that. So about, I would say, 6 different cities across Ontario and Quebec, which are 2 of the provinces, actually were the direct beneficiaries as a result of that. So that's one thing. The strength of the National Association combined bears down on any local city. So let's say if one member is doing something, for example, and they need the support and they are a member of the National Association, we will mobilize the entire National Association strength to be able to support them, which they will not be able to do on their own otherwise. Another piece of it, like you heard Patricia saying, is also our young people. For a long time, we've been wondering over what we could do. We just were able to finally approve a funding amount of just on $100,000 to start the first youth program that would benefit 5 cities immediately. So the funding will cover all 5 cities. Individual associations are too small by themselves to go to the federal government for $400,000, $300,000, $200,000. But the national association is big enough to be able to make a case for that kind of resources. So number one, our strength is mobilizing resources, but also our strength becomes being able to support our individual cities. For example, the convention is rotational. So every time the convention is held in one city, each member of the association must pay $500 to be given to that local city that's hosting to help with the cost. But guess what? The entire Liberian community in Canada bears down on that city. So the vibrancy of the local association that comes alive every time the convention goes somewhere, there's a legacy that is actually left there.
Yeah. So yeah, he said basically everything, but I really love us because we are not, because even though we said communities, but we are not just limited to just people who are among us. When we secure that money, it went to almost everybody that applied, even if you are not part of LAC, because once you are on Liberian, that money reached out to you, and people can testify that they got that money, even though they were not part of LAC, because I reached out and talked to other people because they just thought, oh, I thought if I just LAC member, I said you are on Liberian. If once you are on Liberian and you live in Ontario, just give me your application. I will help you. We fill it up. We send it, and that money reached to them.
Mr. Ja, just to name something quickly. I know somebody asked an interesting question. So
we'll come to the comments, but I want you to name specifically when you say this association, like Patricia said, the money went to them. Specifically,
not association like that. I mean, other individuals that were not part of LAC.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and where are they located?
So the way it works, Mr. Ja, when the federal government grants LAC, right, the liability and the risks associated with that fund is on LAC. We are responsible for accounting. So what we do then, we'll meet with the local city leadership and say, for example, we have $50,000 to benefit this group of people in your city. How do we work it with you? Because we want you, the leadership, to lead it. We don't want to come in your city and undercut you. So, for example, the way we actually did the COVID-19 grant, we will go to our local city and say, okay, we got $50,000 for this.
Specifically, those cities, you went to Calgary, or you went to?
So we went to Quebec. For example, we got a grant for Quebec, where most of our Liberian brothers and sisters who were crossing over with document issue were actually crossing. That was a major crossing point. So we went there and said to Quebec, we have XYZ money to deploy, but we need to discuss with you, the leadership, what is the medium through which we prefer. Once we agree upon it, we had an application form on our website. Once people apply that qualify to us, when we receive those applications, we'll send it back to the leadership in Quebec. They will verify it, they will confirm it, and then they will send back to us those who qualify, because that's the leadership there. And then based on our qualification list from them, we will be able to disperse funding directly to the beneficiaries. On top of that, we were also able to allocate a small amount. So the administration funds that were put in the grant for LAC, we were able to divide it so that the local association, since they were also doing work, they received part of that admin portion to be able to cover their own costs and logistics of implementing the grant. And every city that benefited leadership got part of that administration fund as well, beyond the direct amount that was going to benefit. But I will say something, Mr. Jad, beyond that. We've been able to mobilize our efforts even with individuals. When Patricia was saying people who are not even part of LAC, there are individuals who live in cities that are not members of the association, or who live in cities where there is no Liberian association present. So we don't exclude them as long as they meet the criteria. Our Quebec, when we were doing this, Quebec is not even a member of LAC. We were able to secure a grant on their behalf just because of the plight of Liberians that were in that particular city during COVID.
If I may ask, I just want to give as an example, like the administration fund.
Yep.
How much was it, and what are some of the cities or provinces that got it?
So each of the cities, it was Kitchener, Hamilton, London, Windsor, Quebec, and Quebec, yes, and Toronto. Those were the cities that actually got it. And each, we were able to allocate. Some cities got $2,000. Some cities got $1,000, just based on the numbers of applications that were coming in. But that fund was just strictly for admin purposes to help cover their. For example, if they had to go help an old mom at the house to apply, who could not do it on her own, or if somebody had to help do groceries for one of the families who were dealing with mobility issues that could not go do. So all of those little admin things that we don't take into consideration, usually people have to drive around. Like Patricia, as a women coordinator, got on her feet. She literally went from homes to homes, talking to people, helping them understand how they could apply, what they needed to do to qualify, the kind of document and paperwork they needed to actually submit.
In the Guinea refugee system, they used to say you can play with oil without oil leaving on your fingers. So as you guys were playing with the oil, I know oil left on some people's fingers. How was the reporting done to make sure that the fund was accounted for?
So first of all, it was very transparent. The form were all online, directly on the website. Because of COVID, people could not physically see each other. So we have people electronically go online and apply. Once they apply, the Canadian government had already signed a contract with us as to who can get what. So we have something here called the welfare system. The government already has a calculator for how they apportion support, whether it's an individual or a family. So once they did the calculator with us, the amounts came up to an individual got $125 per month. An individual got for 3 months. And then for families, they got $225 per month for families. And then there were certain people in very dire circumstances. Like, for example, we have few of our young people who are dealing with severe mental health issue. One of them even almost went crazy. The police had to tie him down, take him to a hospital or whatever that is. And the hospital bill came out to $71,000. We were able to work with the Canadian government. We couldn't pay all of it, but we were able to help pay about 10% of the cost for them to be able to release him, and then help them put in a payment plan so they can pay month to month. So that was just one, but there were extreme cases like that. Another Liberian kid who was here going to school as an international student, his parents lost their job. And once his parents lost their job, he got kicked out of school, which meant he was going to be automatically deported because he lost his actual students. We were able to intervene, and through our arrangement with the government, and made the case, and the government agreed for us to use some of the funding to support him directly. Today, he's back on his regular status and his work permit. He's able now to work to help offset some of his own tuition. And one of our community members were able to work with them, agreed to take him in. So instead of now being by himself, he's actually living with a Liberian family while being able to actually go to school. So there are all those cases during COVID that happened, but it was transparent. And then we had to report back to the government based on those allocations. And then we had to get an independent accounting to review those reports and the receipts. So for example, we'll be submitting our report at the convention, and all of the supporting documentations, all of the funds that were transferred were not given to individuals, they were transferred to people's accounts, e-transfer directly to create the paper trail. So if we said X person got 3 month support of $225 each, there is documentary evidence showing the money leaving LAC straight to their account. There was no third party in between. People who didn't have e-transfer or could do technology, we got people to sign on their behalf. They got their own people. They say, yes, I'm able to do the technology. I want you to transfer my money this way. Then that person will sign an agreement with LAC, authorizing us to have their support. Because some people depend on other people for support. You know, they're older or
right.
So they got people who help them do their running around. So the process was very transparent. All the documentary evidence are there. All the receipts are there because we have to submit this to the government as well.
Thank you.
The same thing we will submit to the organization.
Patricia, speak more about your accomplishment. What, you talk about the funds. If any other example that you remember you want to share, or anything that the association has done for people, please go ahead.
Yeah, as the director said, the fund was just coming and we're just helping. Most of the things he said, yeah, that's what we did. There's not too many.
Good. And because that we don't easily have that in our community where
okay, yeah, for sure. Because when most of the time we've been in Liberian community, we haven't heard or seen such thing. So even when people heard it, they say, "Oh, I beg you, Yalati will not even happen a lot." But then when the first check rolled out, the second time the application that we got, it got so busy. It got so busy that people were staying in the office. And I really commend those that were doing the job, that the paperwork, because the girl, oh my gosh, she was not even leaving her office to go. She had her job to do. I had my job to do. Leo had a job to do, and we had that extra job going on. So it was really tough, but we went through and we reached out to everybody, and they were really appreciative, because it was the first time for us to hear that, oh, we're going to be getting money from the government. And who did it? That Leo. I said the president said, who did it? Leo said, oh, I have money, not true. They're not true. We get protocol. They're not true. They're not true. But when they go low, as soon as we started giving the money, that's how they believe it and make people to trust us more. Because I talk about the organization. I always say we are talking do. We don't just come and blab. We talk, and what we say, we always deliver. So,
ladies and gentlemen, this is the Liberian Association of Canada. We're talking to them, and they are joining us all the way from Canada. You know, we're talking about the administration. What other things are in the pipeline that you're going to do, like project-wise?
Yeah, so there are a few things in the pipeline. When I took over, one of my priorities was youth empowerment in our community, which is a place that is badly neglected across the Liberian community. So as I speak to you, as we transition from the COVID emergency intervention, we're gradually getting back to some sense of new normal. So we've just secured about $95,000 for 1 year youth engagement project that will be covering 5 cities. So Toronto, Hamilton, London, Kitchener, and Windsor will be the 5 cities. We are looking at supporting at least 50 youth in our community.
How do you select those cities? What's the criteria?
So in Canada, in the US, you people call it states, but we call it province here. So they're the provincial government, and then there's the federal government. So the provincial governments will only provide money that covers activities within the province. So all of the cities I named to you are in Ontario. This funding opportunity became available through the Ontario provincial government. So we engaged the Ontario provincial government. That's how all the cities in Ontario are covered. So for example, in Edmonton, we were able to secure funding for single mothers to support them directly. That's coming up soon. We just got that funding agreement also signed up. We're just working on the details of it now. Again, that funding is only restricted to the city of Edmonton. So there are times where you will get federal funding that cover wide areas, but most of the time it's really regional based on what. So that's why our job is really hard, because we have to keep an eye on the different regional opportunities to try and pull them into support cities in those regions. And some of the cities are also doing their own efforts as well. We support their local efforts. But to your point, we'll be rolling out the youth program, and the youth program is really about looking at how we can avoid our kids from getting involved with illegal employment activities. What you would notice, Mr. Jazz, some kids hit high school, and the place where they start feeling like they need money or so. Most of the time, they are not qualified, right, to get a proper employment. So what they do, they start hanging out with all kinds of sketchy people who say, I can get you something under the table, and you work for me, and I can pay you something small cash under the table. In this country, one, it's illegal. But number two, you are introducing the kids very early on to a type of system that can just go down the deep end. It can allow people to exploit them, because sometimes they may not even tell you, the parents, who they're doing that stuff with, secretly or quietly, because under the table they're actually paying. And we've seen evidence now that can lead into prostitution. It can lead into human trafficking. It can lead into all kinds of other stuff that spirals down the road when you're not careful before parents realize. So what we'll be doing, we'll be working with the police forces in these various cities, the YMCA, the city government, to talk about exposing our children to internship and youth employment through the legal means, but also empowering them how to access it. So that we'll be doing it in our own cultural context as Liberians. So we'll be working with them exclusively using this grant over the next 6 to 9 months to ensure that our kids, if they need to work, they need to know that they don't need to go under the table. We can empower them to know how to access proper legal youth employment, to be able to earn a living, but also just learn some of the professional skills and discipline they need as they're growing. So that's one. Another piece we are actively looking at right now, I would say to you, Mr. Ja, is ensuring that all of the local associations across Canada, next year is the 200th bicentennial celebration, right? We call it in Liberia since 1822. So we are planning a different thing. This is a surprise. I haven't said it to a lot of people yet. We are planning to do a huge conference at our convention in Canada next year. And that conference will be bringing together people to celebrate Liberia as being the original place of return when free slaves were going back to Africa, to help drive interest on the Canadian side for people to want to travel to Liberia on a spiritual journey to see what Liberia is. So we are excited for that. That's one of the things we got in our pipeline.
And just a little correction there, because people like to call the Liberian thing bicentenary, but 1822 was not when we were founded. So bicentenary would be 2047. But that's the arrival of the
free slaves.
The free slaves. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. We are in conversation with the Liberian Association of Canada, LAC. I'm here with the president, Mr. Leo Napulu Johnson. He's the president, and the woman coordinator, Patricia Ama. Let's go into the future, it's everybody like new thing. So LAC is new. It's just 2 years old. Now you're going to transition to a new leadership.
Let me correct you, Mr. Ja. I disagree. It's not 2 years old. What was flagged, all of the board members and all of the people who established, we only rebranded as LAC as a result of the conflict, but all of the original members still continue. So I would say the elected administration is new. This was the first elected administration. So for
that's a nuance because of flag. You are flag, and there was a confusion. And one group meeting has flag, and there's a new group that has LAC. So that's why I'm looking at it as new. But B, whatever it is, this is 2 years, and you're going to transition. Most of the time, there where problem starts because Leo was there. He had this connection. He had this contact, and then now you have this new leadership and people who like Leo because Leo can get things done. They no longer want to come. First of all, election is coming. Who is running, and what will the transition look like so that LAC meetings or still it is what it is today?
So great question. So I don't know who else is running because the election commission will be publishing actually, I think tomorrow. They will be publishing.
Normally, this president, they handpick people to run. Who have you handpicked?
I'm actually running myself for a second term, so I didn't handpick anybody. I handpicked myself in this case.
Okay, so you're going for a second term.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I don't know who my opponents or other opponents are yet because once the election commission publishes all the qualified candidates that have registered, then the campaigning will start to know who's running against who. But let me answer your question. Governance is an important thing. You're right, Mr. Ja. It's usually doing these transitions that trouble comes on when it's not done carefully. That is the reason why those who like Leo, who come to LAC because of Leo. Let's say Leo does not win the election. If Leo loses the election, as a former president, we put in place a governance structure that allows Leo to still sit on the board. So Leo does not leave LAC. Leo still remains within the confines of the organization because guess what? The things that Leo did well, the skill set that Leo has, we should find a way to transition it rather than lose it. If you have leaders in the organization who have won elections and served and done all of that, they have something. That's why people voted them. So the longer we can keep, we don't want to do it at other places where the person was a great leader, by the time they leave, everything falls off the cliff. So Leo will still be within the organization to provide his support. The only difference is he will not be the one calling the shots anymore because he's not the president anymore. But, and again, I'm not saying that is perfect, but as a young organization, that's one thing. So for example, Francis Zinen was the interim president. He sits on the board now. So as interim president, so we still have that support network. So Leo can still encourage his own people to say, no, the organization has still all our responsibility. The only difference is I'm no longer president. So we all have a responsibility now to not just support, but to hold accountable the systems that we put in place and also still be held accountable by the overall association.
I know, Patricia, I don't think your position is an elected position. So right. So what is the plan? Are you still on? Are you leaving? Or how is the transition going to be like? Because we don't want Patricia is not there again, then things not working.
So I'm hoping that I'll be reappointed because the president appointed me. I'm still waiting to work. I'm running my computer right now. I'm still waiting to work. If he appoints me again, I will really be happy and appreciate it because I can say the past 2 years, things that we really envisioned doing, we did not go through everything because of the virus. We had a little slowdown. So if he appoints me again, then all those things that we're thinking about, we can go through that because things are getting better now.
And Mr. Ja, let me just say something to you. The first thing we're also doing is to make sure that we leave the organization in a very healthy, when you got resources, you can attract the type of talents that you need. So right now, let's say if we don't win the election, we're leaving the organization in a position of at least $150,000 in your bank account. So they got the resources to do real work. I think, in my opinion, that's a great thing to do as a leader when you're leaving, to make sure you're leaving the organization in a very strong position to be able to continue the work.
If you're watching us and want to join the conversation, please call the number on the screen. It's a teleconference number, 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. And we're going to be reading comments in a little bit. But again, Leo, as you are going to run for a second term, have you declared your asset?
No, I haven't declared my asset because the Constitution of LAC does not require me to. So, and I've taken the liberty to not volunteer to do it since it's not a requirement for the presidency. I've just received my certificate of qualification a few days ago from the Elections Commission that I've met every criteria stipulated to contest the election. So I've met all of the criteria. I can assure you that there's not one clause in the Constitution that I missed.
Thank you. Patricia, you're not getting paid for this job. What makes you want to still be doing it? What about it do you enjoy? Or what is the benefit you get from doing it, for which you have to leave your job, your family, and devote time to it?
Yeah, because in our community or as women, sometimes we yell when we say things, but people are very shy. There are a lot of people that have the enthusiasm to do things, but they don't want to come up to do it. So when they are so shy. So, but and when I see them, because it is like for me, I told them the 2 years will soon be over. So maybe the president will appoint somebody and they say, oh no, we don't have to talk to you. You have to say that. People want to do it, but they can't. And for me, I don't mind doing it. If I see people happy, it just makes me happy. If I help people and they're happy with it, I just be happy. I know I'm not getting any pay for it, but I've been doing it before. It was just, I don't know, it's just part of me to just be connected with people and see them going through stuff. And if I can help them, I'll be able to help them. And once they are okay, I'm okay. Yeah. So I just let to be in that position to give help, to be of service to others.
Thank you. And if you are not appointed to do the job again, will you still be in LAC?
I will still be there, and
but you will
still be like I will still be part of the women. For example, in my community, I was the women cheerleader before. So maybe that's where Leo saw my skill and he appointed me. So I am one of those who, when they call for meeting, even though we online, people still get late for meeting. The meeting is 3, they'll be coming at 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'll be the first person to log in, not because I was the cheerleader before, so I can't respect authority. No, I will still be there. Anybody who's there, I'm going to respect them and still be part of the group, and we're still going to run the organization.
And Mr. John, just to add to that quickly, I know everybody says Leo, 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 but I will be very untruthful and dishonest if I don't sit here and give credit to our entire leadership team. I agree, I'm the face, so people see it all the time. But whether it's Adam Niwan, who's our chief financial officer, or Eugene Blauer, who's our vice president, or Harahaji Kroman, who's our general secretary, or Christopher Dennis, who's our director of communications, or Jalaquina Connor, who's our resettlement coordinator, or Patricia, these are the people who really, night in, day in, that actually get me going. They do their jobs. And without their support, and also the support of the various presidents of the various cities across Canada, I'll be honest with you, we will not be able to do 10% of the job we've been able to do if it was not for the collective support and hard work of all of these people.
Thank you. A few comments here. Otis T. Wanlie, good job to the Liberian women. Alexander Jr., can you give us a list of the local organizations that are part of LAC? I heard you say 7 active ones. Ava Tonga say, good job, Leo Lekpele Nopulu Johnson. Eva J say, go cheerleader. Viola Todman say, hi. Emmanuel say, that's awesome. And those are a few of the comments. I want to also, Leo, respond quickly to that, to those comments, and Patricia, and then I can bring in, we have a caller on the line. You're muted. Leo, you're muted.
The 7 active cities or members of LAC are Hamilton, Windsor, Kitchener, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Vancouver, and the most recent new member is London that just declared their membership. So those are the 7 active member associations that are involved with LAC directly.
Calgary is right there. My sister lived there. Why you don't have any?
Calgary has been going through a transition. We actually work with them very close to the president, but they're waiting for their elections. They had a whole situation that they had to dismantle the whole community and start things afresh. So they decided that they want to wait first and complete their elections before they can take a decision on joining.
Daniel, Julie said, go ahead, Pat. Well spoken. Wati Slamo.
That's my brother from another mother.
Oh, thank you for this wonderful and magnificent show. Can someone help me make my way to Canada, please? You can DM me in my inbox on Messenger. So, Leo, does the organization help to bring people on resettlement or visa, student,
No,
DP, whatever?
I really wish one day we get to that point that we have the capacity and the ability to do that. We don't. However, many times people have reached out to us who are already in the process of doing that, and sometimes they get stuck. They need answers to questions. One of the things we've been able to do, in fact, on our website, we have a whole tab just on letting people know all of the fraud that are involved, but the legitimate programs through which people can come to Canada and what you need to do to qualify. So yes, we do answer questions to help point people in the right direction, but we don't have the capacity to bring people to Canada or issue visas or whatever. We, as an association, we don't have that capacity.
David Banto said, problems in Liberian community everywhere is our national trademark. And at the end, I want you to speak to it. How, even though there are problems everywhere, whether we have those same thing or how is your community different? Sonia Taluk Der say hello. We have our friend here, Wensi Kakula, watching from Dubai. Mike, hi, and Steve Didwa say this is a very good thing to know this. So, but let me bring on our caller quickly. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Alexander. I'm calling right now from Windsor, Ontario. How are you, Mr. Jai?
I'm doing great, Alex. Go ahead, you're live.
Thank you so much. I hope you can just give me a little bit of time. I want to congratulate you. I think he has done some great things. I also do believe that he have some really good intentions, and I think he's a good guy. Why also believe that the election that brought him on board was stage managed for all those reasons, but that's a different conversation altogether. But I think generally he has been doing some good things. But it seems to me that most of the successes we're talking about is centered around COVID-19, and which I want to also applaud him for his team. And I also do believe that this is something that would have happened under any other leadership. The reason of my call is to have 2 to 3 questions. We continue to do certain things and we expect things to be better. So when we go to the timeline of this upcoming election, it says by October 26, 2021, we should have an announcement of the certified candidates. Up to now, we haven't had that. This is where problem can come from. And when Leo took over, there was this huge split. I don't know what has been done so far in terms of reconciliation, because that continues to be a problem. I know I heard him say he tried reaching out and then it was still going left and going right, and so he decided to rebrand. But I don't know if walking away and just rebranding is a solution to an age-old problem that I believe all of those people who were even part of the very foundation of this organization were all part of, because a group of people decide to sit in one little place and decide to form flag. And most of the 3 of the organizations that he names have been an active member of this association right now. These are people who have been in power for years. They haven't had elections, but these are the very people who have been going to another election to elect an elected official. It doesn't make sense to me. So I just want to ask you, 1, what have you done so far in terms of reconciliation? Do you think your administration has failed on that front? And my second question would be, Mr. Jai asked you about a transition. That's always a problem in the Liberian community. Right now, as it stands, the constitution that this organization is operating under, there's no tenure. So Leo can decide to run for as long as he wants, right? That's a recipe for disaster. And we don't seem to be addressing that. What have you done so far? I know I've been singing this song over and over, and there's always this merry-go-round answer around that. What have you done about that so far? And I think those are just my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
All right. Yeah, so Alex, thank you very much. And I know Alex, actually, he's calling in from Windsor. And it's interesting because Alex was at the convention I was elected and he participated fully. So it's interesting, but I'll answer the questions. Number 1, he talked about reconciliation, Mr. Jai, what I've done. So let me tell you, so we engaged the Liberian ambassador to Washington, D.C., who covers Canada as well. He had come in to try and see if he could reconcile as a third party, right? And we subjected ourselves to that situation. We're like, whatever the outcome of this is, we will be willing to make whatever compromises that needs to be done to resolve this the situation at the time. That was almost a year and a half ago. We went through weeks of explanations and negotiations, and then the ambassador and his team came up with 11 recommendations, to resolve the situation. The most important part of those recommendations was that both groups go to a joint convention, and both groups be willing to open the convention so that anybody who wants to participate can participate. Anybody who wants to run can run. So we put our two, separate constitutional requirements aside to make it a more like reconciliation convention and open it to everybody. We accepted the 11 recommendations of the ambassador without any, in fact, our board signed it within a week of it being released without any condition that we're willing to subject ourselves to all of it. The other side then came back after a week, after we signed and submitted, and said, no, they have one problem. And their problem was it should be put in the recommendations that when we go to a joint convention, regardless of what happened, we will have to maintain the name of the organizations as being flagged. So we said, that doesn't make sense because the convention is the highest decision-making body of the association. Let's go to the convention. If you want the name to be flagged, put it to the convention. And if the convention, you can convince them and they vote for it, that's the law and gospel. We'll follow it. But for you to make that determination before going to the convention might even say, we don't want both names. You'll throw both names in a garbage can. We want a brand new, we want a very brand new name. So they said they will not accept the recommendations from the ambassador for resolution unless that issue is entered. And we all, including the ambassador's team, did not see any reason for that.
And what did the ambassador say?
No, it didn't make sense. The ambassador was, let's take it to the convention. Because at least all the Liberians in Canada will have an opportunity to say, let the name be flag or LAC, or we want any of those names because both constitutions says the convention is the highest decision-making body. So what if...
I agree. So that's on reconciliation. Let's go to transition. They say the constitution gives you can run just like we in Israel.
Let me make it clear. There is absolutely, first of all, that's true. That's what the constitution does not give a tenure. But let me say two things. Number one, there is nothing wrong with that in a properly functioning system. In Canada that we live, there is no tenure. The prime minister, as long as he's able to convince the population to win an election, he can run as many times. And I'm one of those people that are interested in running for my life forever. But the constitution, Mr. Ja, is subject to amendments at the convention. Alex Jr. that's here came to the convention in 2019 and raised this point, and everybody told him, put forth an amendment for tenure to be inserted in the constitution. He refused to do it up to today's date. So I would say it's still open. If people in the Liberian community in Canada feel it will be prudent and important that we have tenure in the constitution, November 27 is coming up for the convention. Bring a constitutional amendment to the floor so your peers can vote on it. And if it passes, then it is law. So the constitution is not a fixed document. It can always be improved.
So on election, say by October 26th, the election commission should announce it. He said that announcement has not been done.
Yeah, so first of all, the independent election commission is independent.
Who appointed them? You?
Yes, I appointed them subject to approval by the board. Okay. So I appointed the election commission. Their credentials went to the board. I only appointed the chair. The chair goes to the board for vetting. The board vets, which has all of the cities sitting on there. And once that vetting process is over, if the board is satisfied with the appointee, that, for example, the first appointee was rejected by the board. We had the first person appointed, the board rejected it. They were not satisfied. So we appointed the second person, and that person was confirmed by the board. That commission is void of my influence. I cannot participate in that process because it's a direct conflict of interest for me because I'm running. So if there are any qualms, I will inform people to please feel free to reach out to the election commissions directly because I do not have the authority to go to the commission and say, you must do this or you must do that.
But if the commission had a deadline and they have not done it, what should happen?
If the commission has a deadline and they have not done it, you got two layers of recourse. One is the regional vice presidents. So all of the presidents of the various associations are working directly with the elections commission. Two is the board of directors. The board of directors has jurisdiction over the elections commission. So I will encourage Alex again, if he has any issue where the election commission did not meet a deadline or is not doing things on time, he has multiple ways of...
Right, but do you have an issue with that or you think it's okay?
No, personally, what he's saying I don't because I cannot verify that. And the reason I say I cannot verify that, I received my certificate of qualification October 23rd. That's when I received my certificate as a candidate. We met the deadline. I received my certificate since October 23rd. So I have my certificate in my hand right now. So if the Election Commission did not publish or publish, in fact, they don't publish through me. They publish through the Director of Communications, which is Chris Dennis. And I have seen a letter from the Election Commission to the Board of Directors informing them that all the candidates have been certified with the full information, and they are just turning it over to the board and the communication department to be published fully. So I cannot verify that information, but if the information Alex Jr. is saying is true, then yes, that is problematic. It should be addressed.
Right. Patricia, what's your take?
No, the letter he's talking about, I think I got it and I forwarded it to the women.
So to your best of your knowledge, the Election Commission has announced all the qualified candidates. And then what do you think of the president having no turning? He can run, he or she can run as long as they want. You like that too?
I know, I don't like that. At least it's supposed to be rotational, yeah.
All right.
So, but Mr. Jai, you see again that where the problem can come from in our communities. People have the authority to, because you remember this is a new organization, right? These constitutions are written from the beginning, and then the goal is that's why we have a convention every single year, and the convention is open for amendments. Nobody will write down the amendments and bring it to the convention. But whenever the convention finishes, then they come and complain about things that are in the door. You have the power in your hand to propose a change, bring it to the table.
Thank you. Alex, if you still want to say something, I want to give you one minute.
I think we need to be truthful here, right? If you're saying that he's not aware that the candidate things are being published or not published, he's not aware of that. The Constitution of LAC clearly says the mode of communication: the website, the association website, social media platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp. It is all there. It's a public document. Leo is access those documents, those sites every day. How can he say he's not aware? That's another thing. This last thing I want to say without continue, Mr. Jai, he struck a very good point. Bring it to the convention. Mr. Jai, it will amaze you to know the way they set up this, their lacking and their leadership is like a clique. You have people who are the regional vice presidents, they are the only ones that go to vote, along with other executive members, right? So as an individual, before you go and make a proposal on a particular constitution, you have to go to one of these people. And remember now, most of these people, I can name you, they're having confusion all in that organization. The organization is non-functional. Some of them have been there for 10, 15 years, no election. How do you go to these people if you find yourself in that community to go and vote for? So there's that barrier that is there that prevents ordinary members from doing that. So you just need to acknowledge that. So you need to address that. So you can say you have the authority. No, ordinary members don't.
So, Mr. Jai, let me just correct Alex.
Thank you. Let him end, because that's the last call. Our time is. So, end your thought, Alex.
Yeah, basically, it's a clique. They just form this clique. Few group of people who are friendly with certain group of people just come together and support a particular candidate, and that person wins. It needs to be open. We need to do more. We don't have the authority. Ordinary members don't have the authority to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let me correct, and this is where some of the misinformation comes from. So it's absolutely falsehood. The Constitution of LAC is published on the website. You can look at it right now. It's absolutely falsehood to say the only people who vote at LAC is the presidents from these cities and the executives. That's not true. At the LAC convention, Mr. Jai, each city is allowed to select 5 delegates. Their president is an automatic delegate. Their board members are automatic delegates, but they have to select 5, and that selection process means the community have to get together and decide who the 5 people they want to. Patricia here, she was a member of their delegation from Kitchener when she was not even an executive in LAC. She went as one of the delegates from Kitchener. So it's false. The Constitution, because we are a membership-based association, Mr. Jai, every individual in every city don't vote. If you try that, Edmonton will win every election, because Edmonton has the largest concentration of the Liberian population. So if you say it's by individual voting, Edmonton can win anything they want to win. Nobody can challenge them. So to make it Edmonton, we had it by delegates based. So every city has the same number of delegates. Whether you get 5,000 people or you got 100,000 people, you are allowed 5 delegates. Your sitting president is an automatic delegate because they're a regional vice president. So Alex,
thank you.
Vote your community to make you a delegate. That's great. If you can't, you can bring your brilliant idea to your community Once they accept it, then the delegates are the ones who bring it to the convention to be debated.
Thank you. Let me get a few more comments here. Abby Tyler said $150,000 in the association's account. That is a lot of money. Do you have laws in place to prevent mismanagement and legal ramification should it occur?
Yes, we actually do. So, for example, every year after election, we have to produce a budget to the board in terms of the organization expenditure, and then the chief financial officer goes by that budget. So authorizations are made by 2 or 3 signatures on the account, and one of it has to be the chief financial officer in accordance with the budget. Some of this money is also grant money that already has contracts in place that the chief financial officer has. So expenditures are based on those 2 key instruments: contracts that we have in place for grant money and budgets that we have in place for other expenditures approved by the association.
Thank you. Flomo L. Roof, you guys have a great and wonderful team, and I wish you guys can run and I will definitely give my support. Majala Sharif, kudos to our able chair lady.
Yay.
Joyce Chupi Smith, great job, guys. James Colley Jr. is watching from Windsor, Canada. And Samuel Chappell say, in my child still a voice, this Leo boy wants to be president. Leo, you want to run? Solomon Abia say, good organization watching from Australia. Sharif again, Leo is one among 100 who has absolute control over the English language. He chooses his words wisely, which directly reflects on his leadership skill. He's a great leader. Nobody can take that away from him. Kudos to you and your team. And
so, Mr. Ja, by the way, Majala Sharif is the president of the Liberian Association in London.
Okay. Bendu Griffin is joining us from California. Say, hey, Lord, all Liberian associations have this same problem, sadness. Alex is writing, I said the mode of communication for LAC is clear and the list of certified candidates should be published on there. I did not say the constitution is not online. You are correct about that. That's what you said.
Yeah, which is actually fair. And like I said, if it is not there, I've already stated the mediums through which you can seek redress as to why things are not there. I don't have authority over that.
James Colley say the election commissioner have WhatsApp page to update people. So the question is, are they doing it through the WhatsApp page? Are they publishing the list of qualified candidates?
And if not, Mr. Jai, like I said, all members, including Alex himself, has the direct opportunity to engage the board, engage the commissioner.
But Leo, no, for you, have you seen that list on WhatsApp?
I have received a communication.
No. My question is,
no, I haven't seen a list on WhatsApp.
Because what Alex is saying that they should publish the list on the website and on WhatsApp, and it looks like they have not done so, and that's
I'm encouraging him then to seek redress, Mr. Jai. The way we solve problems is not just to state them.
No, but you are not even recognizing it as a problem in the first place.
No. I said, Mr. Jai, I listed the 3 ways through which, if the election commission is not doing something that you think is proper, I listed the 3 ways that you can seek redress.
I get that.
And I'm encouraging Alex that if the election commission has not published that, then yes, that is a problem. And the ways in which members of our community can seek redress through the board, through the regional vice president, and with direct engagement with the election commission. And I'm encouraging Alex, what he just raised, that's something I will encourage him to engage those systems of redress on, because that is problematic.
And what can you do about that, Mr. President?
Well, personally, I will go through the same channels that I just listed, because as president, I don't have authority, and because I'm a candidate also, I don't have the authority to order the elections commission, so I can just go to the board or to the regional vice presidents. The same way I'm encouraging Alex Jr., I'm going to be following up on that immediately after this interview. I will be making
and that's what I was looking for. That you're going to do something.
Maybe I didn't say it explicitly that way, but right after this, I will be following those. I don't want it to say only Leo will go follow up. That's why I'm encouraging Alex as well to also ensure we all follow up on it to make sure the right thing is done.
And Otis said, my organization, the Liberian Association for Progress Lab, based in Nova Scotia, Canada, is one of the organizations who is not fully part of any organization here in Canada. Our reason is that we do not know which organization to follow. The Liberian community should be united. That's all. Come on, Otis, you should know by now.
Exactly. But Mr. Ja, the problem is people always want to state problems, but they don't want to be part of the solution, right? So it's great that you're in the community, there are trouble. What have you done to provide leadership to help? Because we are all Liberians. If something happens in the Liberian community, Otis that's over there, I've engaged Otis extensively more than a year now. Otis has all of the information about everything that happened in this country. Otis informed me the last time that they were meeting to make a decision to get back to me. That was 1 year ago. We've never heard back. So let me put him on the spot to say, Otis, our statement is not accurate. You and I know that for a fact. So state, if you realize you don't want to be part because you don't like what is happening, then state, I don't want to be part. But don't say we don't know who to follow as if you're not aware of those
but
things.
I encourage Otis to just pick one.
Exactly.
Know,
the one that aligns with your goals.
Pick one. At least be part of something, and let's move the community forward. Larry agreed that Leo has good leadership skill, but Leo and Patricia, thank you so much for coming to talk about your community. This problem with Liberian community always having conflict, and we can dwell on that, right? We
Exactly.
keep,
but Mr. Jack,
keep working for result. So I interviewed both organizations over a year ago, and we tried to understand the issues, and what I came up with is like, go ahead and operate.
Exactly.
And if through you we can build, if River G can become like Kigali, thank God, So operate, let Liberians benefit from what you do, even if they have another. And Canada is a big country.
Very big.
You may even need, and you guys are in just one part. The French. There are some Liberians, the French-speaking side that speak all French.
That is Quebec. We are already there as well.
Okay, so you can set up another. Maybe this time because the first one is FLAC, the second one is LAC. You can have a third one that's AC in another area, and we can go ahead.
But Mr. Ja, just to make an important point, that everybody who's saying, "Oh, Liberian community always have problems," then they stop there. They don't acknowledge some of the positive things that are happening as a result. Yes, the Liberian community have problems in Canada, right? But here we are today. We still have a vibrant organization. We cannot dwell only on the bad things and fan the flames and make it look like all hell is breaking loose. No. Today, we are a credible partner of the federal government of Canada that can entrust us with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Today, our young people are benefiting and participating, elevating their voices because of the work we've done. Today, women of the Liberian community in Canada, look, let me say it to you today. In the Liberian community, there is nothing wrong with more than one organization existing. This whole nonsense over fighting over territory doesn't make sense. If Mr. Ja want to go to Liberia to build hospital, and he feels that is what Liberia needs, and Leo said, no, he won't build school, don't find Mr. Ja. We need all. Mr. Ja can go build a hospital, Leo can go build a school. So trust me today, if FLAG is doing something and want us to support it and it aligns with our values, we will support it. We will not, as long as we feel it's in the best interest of the community, they will have our 100% full support. So those of you who want to look for where the conflict is, we've moved way beyond that. LAC is operating. I can speak for LAC. The day you get a chance to talk to FLAG people, Mr. Ja, bring them on too. Maybe there are things they have been doing for the community that we are not aware of. They can come and talk about it as well. We would transcend beyond this thing that we must always only focus on the bad and not the good. I'm happy to say the Liberian community in Canada is one of those that have successfully transcended that conflict period and is now in a stage where we are operating as an organization, another one is operating, and we are happily doing the work and the goals that we set out to do to please our membership and to serve the best interests of the Liberian, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Thank you. And we want to also publicly extend invitation to FLAG. I've sent messages to Professor Reeves. So openly want to say you're welcome to come and also let us know what you're doing. And there are more and more organizations asking us to come on here and talk about them. And that's what we do here at Focus on Liberia. We don't only talk one side, politics and all that. We want to also show the spotlight on organizations, see what they are doing and what we can learn from each other. And I'm happy about the work you're doing. Keep it up and let what you do spread to other organizations so that we can learn how to kind of get the needed help we can get from our government.
These are my last words. Performance is the best response to criticism. Don't judge us by the criticism. Judge us by the performance.
Let me get your last word, Patricia.
Let the work be known to others, not just the talking.
You walk the walk and not just talk the talk. I appreciate your time so much. Want to also thank people watching us and even those who will watch later. Here I focus on Liberia. We educate and elevate, promote all things Liberia, and that's what we do. So keep it here. Before I let you go, want to go briefly into our announcement here. Tomorrow on the Hour of Politics, Mr. Anthony Sier, I call him the political bulldog. He's going to be interviewing Reverend Tolly Kura. He's a human rights activist and Universal Human Rights International. Universal Human Rights International. They will be talking about the privileges and rights of Liberians yet being denied today. On Saturday, the political bulldog and myself, we're going to be hosting Dr. Joel. He's going to be talking about innovative ways into Liberia's future. You sure don't want to miss those interviews. Until then, I want to say again, thank you, and thanks for those who are following and continuing to watch us. Keep it here at Focus on Liberia, where we cut through the noise and give you the best. Before we end, whether you are for flag or you are for lag, or you are from Otis territory, you don't know which one to join, I say we are all Liberians. And let's do our very best to make Liberia the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our